The whole goal of these different interviews is to try to get some recipes, different stories about more traditional foods, whether it's stuff that you cook still today or grandma made you whenever you're growing up. And we're trying to do a recipe book based off of that so that we can try to incorporate more like excitement and practice and more traditional foods versus junk foods for the younger ages. Awesome. Well, I have a few different questions, and if at any point you want to go into a story or anything like that, feel free. We'll start with like, what was your favorite meal growing up?
Long time ago, we ate what, what my grandparents, cooked. My mom and dad, they continued. But when I used to stay with my grandma and them, she cooked, what they want to eat. They don't really eat bacon, eggs, and, like that. It's something like fried meat and skillet bread, which is gabubu bread, and, and then I don't think I never drank coffee or pop. I never knew of any juice at that time, but we drank mint tea that's, growing, out in the country. Check. I got used to it like that, but when I went, when my mom and them were cooking for me and stuff, that's when I started eating eggs and ham, bacon, all that stuff, fried potatoes. I really liked my grandma's cooking. It was always, it's there. So if she made fried meat, I could just sit there and eat with that bread. And then besides that, she'll make maybe a little bit of cornmeal, which isn't, we never get too much stuff, like rations. And then on the side too, like not roadkill, but animals they kill, they clean it and they cook it like porcupine or prairie dogs. Okay. I can eat those anytime. So whenever like we're gonna have that, I make sure they save some for me.
Yep.
Because I used to take pieces of prairie dog meat to school with me too. And I stay away from those people, the other kids, and I sit over here and eat by myself. If I didn't want them to know what I was eating.
Didn't want them to try it.
Yeah, they might, think it's a bad thing to eat and all that. But, I grew up like that. I grew up eating just about anything. I used to be married to a Polynesian.
Okay.
And they eat a lot of raw fish, and then they eat horse meat. And I tried everything they cooked because my husband used to cook and, feed me all the time. And it wasn't even a little portion. The plate was this big.
Oh my gosh.
Yams, sweet potatoes, manioca, all kinds of different potatoes from the island. And then it was always sheep, boiled sheep, horse meat. Horse meat was fixed to where you can't even taste it if it was horse.
You wouldn't know.
But then, like, if I should really want to know what it tastes like, I just have him boil it and I'll eat it. And then it has a lot of iron in it. It's like iron.
Kind of like elk meat? Or
Yeah, kind of, yeah. But, I ate just about anything, and some people don't, they're not like that. Like, his friends are married to some of my friends, and they won't eat what, they cook.
Yeah.
I said, why? I grew up kind of a hard life. I appreciate what my grandma and my mom and them, they feed me, give me. So I never try to push food away, When it's given to me, I eat it.
Food was almost like a love language almost between grandma and grandpa.
Yeah, I saw her do a lot of stuff like drying foods, and even when somebody will kill a cow, and remember around the stomach, cows have 5 stomachs, so around it, remember that fat that's around it looks like a hair net. It's big. My grandma will take that and she'll hang it. I always wonder why she did that. And here, it's gonna dry out, she said. Even though it's fat, And here it does, it dries out, but it still has that fat, taste in it and everything. That's where I learned to do all this stuff with papa. You dry the meat, and to this day, I'm still doing that. I'm gonna do that tomorrow and the next day. make the wasna stuff for Terry Little Thunder's Lake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm preparing myself for that. But every summer I do a lot of stuff for people around here for their sun dances. They want that wasna or either that corn wasna.
Oh, yep.
But this is what surprised me. A home ec teacher here, I made 2 aluminum containers. They're like roasting pans full of that. And my cousin Marilyn's a Lakota teacher, director at the high school. So she did it for the high school, the whole high school, wiping of tears. Some of them might have lost their grandparents, like that. So they all took, we gave them spoons so they just get it and, eat it. And pretty soon they all came back for more. That was something. Marilyn said, that's enough now. You guys might get sick. Of course they won't, but then, they liked it. So, but they ate half of that, that container, and then she had to take the other one back because, she just wanted them to finish that one. But things like that, the high school comic teacher came up to me and she said, how did you grind your corn? So I said, you know what? I don't even grind the corn. I said, there's cornmeal. I said, don't you know you can use that? I never thought of that, she said.
So instead of, because whenever you dry corn, don't you boil it and then you dry it in the oven, right? And then you have to shuck it and then pound it. Okay.
Yeah. People want it like tomorrow, and I have to. I make a special time doing that the whole day. I'll brown my cornmeal, in the oven. This light brown. It's like this color.
So it's just a little golden.
Yeah. And I don't know. A lot of people said other people, women make that, but it's still yellow. They didn't. They probably didn't even brown it.
So then after you, because I'm a little familiar with wasna, but I'm not familiar with the corn version. So after you pound it and it's that fine texture,
like pottery.
Yeah.
Not too pottery, but did you ever feel the cornmeal?
Yeah.
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 It's something like that, but
sandy.
it'll still have, bigger pieces in it, and you kind of have to sit with it and take your time.
Yeah.
That's why, it takes a long time and a lot of time to do stuff like that.
And is that the end product? Or do you put it in like with choke cherries? Or
a lot of people use other stuff, but my grandma taught me how to use raisins.
Okay.
Yeah, because raisins is always there, in packages. So I always use that. What I do is I soak it for maybe 5-10 minutes when it's soft in hot water, and then kind of wash it off and then spill it, and then I cool it down with cold water. And then when it's ready, I mix I always ask them if they want a little bit of sugar in there, or, nowadays they have that Splenda. I use that too. But when I don't have that, I use just plain sugar. And I use, according to, my taste. And because I'm going to put that raisins in there, and it'll be sweet already too. So I put that in there. I mix the sugar, and then I put the raisins in there, mix it good, and then I use, this is another thing. It's kind of hard to get the kidney fat unless you go to a locker plant, they'll have it there. So if I don't, if I can't get out there, I go to the store. Anyway, it's a little pail like container. It's about this big. Wow. That's what I buy. And I melt that and then let it cool off, and then I just mix it. You have to really mix it good, just so then when you mix it good, and you kind of take a cup and put some in there and press it down, and you flip it over, and it stays like that. Okay, I'll make a whole bunch like that on a sheet pan, and then I'll put it in a refrigerator, so it'll stay whole like that. And then after that, I put it in a baggie, and that's. But otherwise, I have a big cookie sheet. It's a square one that big. I usually make it all on that.
Goodness.
And I let people get whatever size they want, because it's already cut up. If they don't want the big square one, they'll cut it in half or another, inch or something. That's what I use for the fat.
It is kind of hard to find. Well, around here especially, you can only get corn in the summertime. Or like you said with the kidney fat, that's tough. I I was told that Swiftbird on Tuesdays they open it up for like the buffalo plant that they have up there.
Yeah.
They open it up for people to come and kind of get like the scraps. Otherwise, they gotta throw it away. But
yeah. I made buffalo wasna too, and it's just the same, you know. But what I can't do with buffalo meat is I can't gobble it, you know, make it this long. It'll be just tiny like this, but I can make it big like that and hang it over the coal and let it dry. And then when that side kind of dries, I flip it over. But I always have a fan blowing on it, you know, goes through the night. So it takes like 2 to 3 days to dry meat like that. Yeah.
And you have to cut it really thin too.
Yeah, I make mine really thin. So a lot of people like that. They said, gee, you can really, you know, make it thin. So I said, yeah, I try. I said, as long as I have sharp knives, I said, I can go. But it's getting to where my fingers are getting, you know, when you are sitting with cold, your hand sticks like that. It stays like that.
Yeah.
Cramp and everything. So I put it down, and right away I just soak my hand in kind of hot water, and then it gets okay. Then I kind of do exercise. And it seems like we always depend on wild game. So we used to eat squirrels and cottontail, jackrabbit. Even when my little brother had a BB gun, my mom had him shoot those birds that are sitting, snowbirds or something. And she just takes the breast out and she fries it, and that's what we eat too.
How do you know when to fry and when to boil? Because those are usually like the two main in doing these interviews that people say, like grandma fried or grandma boiled. Is it depending on what kind of animal, or is it just a preference on how you want to eat?
When they boil it, you know, they still drink it, you know, that water. I mean, you know, the soup. When it's boiled, you just take out the meat, and you know, maybe she might have boiled potatoes with it, then she'll just eat it like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't always soup.
And then if it's fried, I don't know. My mom, what she did was, I don't like it. I don't like the taste of it. Beaver.
I hear that. I hear people like they don't like it or they really like it.
My mom, that tail, she cuts it off. She boils it first, and then the scales on that tail, she scrapes that off, and then she cleans it, and then she boils it back in.
Okay.
And it's like cartilage, but it's all fat. The meat too, you know. She took the hide off. I mean the skin. You know, she skinned it and put in a roasting pan and onions and to kill that taste. You know, that game taste. But still, it tastes like wood. If it was a female and if there's little babies in there, we used to play with them.
Oh my gosh, the little dead babies.
Yeah, me and my cousins. We just take them, they'll lay them right there, and we'll clean them, and then we just play with them, you know.
Did you grow up in the Red Scaffold area then? Okay, so
east of Red Scaffold.
Okay.
Out in the country. But way before, I grew up in Cherry Creek as a little girl.
Okay.
But somehow we ended up in Cherry Creek. And then growing up, when we moved back over there, my grandpa passed away. And even though he passed away, I still wanted to stay with my grandma.
Yeah.
There was a little dam there too, stock dam. So remember those old brown barrels? She used to put a white tablecloth or dish towel and flour sack anyway. And she drains the water in there and keeps it clean, and she covers it up with a tarp.
Okay.
And then that's what we drink. But she lets it, I don't know what it does, but as soon as she cleans it out, she covers it up, and then when we want more water, we just get it from there.
Did she teach you how to cook then? Everything that you know?
No, I don't remember her cooking. I mean, I always watch her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I was about like 9 years old, that was when we moved from their place where Lucy Knight lives, across from the road by the hill. We used to live there, but my mom's dad wanted us to move over there further west. So we moved over there, and then there was a house my dad built, and he put another addition for the kitchen. And that's where I learned how to make bread. I was like 9, 8 or 9 years old. And we didn't have no refrigerator. We just had the wood stove. It was good, you know. My mom made cinnamon rolls, and I helped her make the bread. And the way we stored our bread was there's a cupboard and there's bottom. It's all metal like.
Mhm.
So we wrap up the bread and we always stick it in there. And one time I helped my mom make cinnamon rolls and they were done. And mom said, put them underneath where we always put the bread in here. I thought she meant underneath.
Oh.
And I did. And here this dog came in, my puppy,
Oh,
and he was eating them all up. So I started crying. My mom said, I told you to put it inside that cupboard, the drawer. You always, you know, put bread in there. How come you put it down there? I thought you know, since, you know, I wasn't really thinking, you know,
Yep.
the dog ate them all up. Didn't get to eat that cinnamon rolls.
Oh, stuff like that, it happens, huh?
Mhm.
Just doing what mom said.
Yeah. So I'm still kind of old fashioned, but, you know, I grew up that way. So,
Yeah. Do you still eat prairie dog?
yeah.
Yeah.
But no one won't kill them unless it's the people that want to kill them, you know, off your land.
Oh,
Because
like the
there's too
hunters?
many.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe next year I'm going to ask them if they could kill me at least 4, you know, and I'll dress them and cook them. I'm always asking for porcupine too
Yeah.
from the game fishing park. One time they brought me 3.
Oh.
So they were really nice ones. The hair were really long and some were silver tips and some were yellow. So I plucked those and then, you know, people are always saying, you should sell what you have. But I said, no, I didn't grow up like that. Even though I might need money, but, you know, I never sell whatever. So anyway, I would put those in a sack and just roll it up and keep them. And whoever needs it, you know, I got some and I'll give it to them. And then the quills,
Yeah.
like the coffee containers, those 3-pound containers, I put the longest ones in them.
Oh, wow. They were really long then.
Yeah. So, but what I don't have is the ashes. You know, we sprinkle it on there and it's easy to pull.
Like the wood ashes?
The wood ashes. That's what you're supposed to use, but I can't find anything or have it. But what I use is Ajax. I mean the Comet. You know, either the cheapest Comet. You know, that scarring powder stuff.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I just sprinkle a little bit on there. It's, how do you say it? Kind of grippy.
Okay.
So I just pull them out really fast like that. My grandma, you know, I saw her doing that, but she throws some kind of a blanket on top of that porcupine quill. And then those quills stick on there. And then she just pulls it out.
She waxes it.
Yeah, so she's fast at it. But sometimes I want to, you know, because my grandkids are around and I don't want to do that when they're around. I don't want them to get stuck because my great-granddaughter got stuck. My mom had one sitting there and here they were all fighting around, you know, just running and they pushed her and she sat down on it.
How do you prepare the porcupine for supper? Like after you clean it and everything?
Okay, after I clean it, I make a little fire. And then the part where there's a lot of quilts, the thick part, I lay it down on like that and then make sure that those burn up first. Otherwise, if you do the stomach first, it'll go open.
Okay.
Yeah, so I always try to get the back part first. And as you're doing that, you know, you just scrape it. Takes time.
Do you do it so like the fire's down here and you do it up top, or do you lay it right on the fire?
No, I just lay it on the fire.
Like on a grill type?
Sometimes I use a grill, but sometimes when this part is too thick, I just lay it right on the fire.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That really makes it, you know, burn, you know, good. So, and then maybe later on after I clean it good, I put that grill thing on top of it and I lay it down because I have to do the underarm and, you know, the legs and the tail.
Yeah.
My mom made a comb out of one, a brush.
Oh.
And we had it for a long time. My dad made the handle out of a willow stick. It was a real nice handle. And my mom, she took out the tail and first she kind of trimmed it down to where those tricky stuff are not there. And then she sticks that stick in there and then she kind of dries it like that. And then after it's kind of dry, she cuts it more to where it's gonna comb your hair, brush your hair like, and then my dad would sew it together.
Did you guys tan hides too then, since you ate so much wild game? Did you clean and keep the hides?
Yeah. And then down the road, my grandpa was cattle. I mean, he got cattle from somebody, or they gave it to them. So that's when we started eating beef.
How old were you when that happened?
Maybe about, because I wasn't even in junior high. I was still going to school in Red Scaffold, day
Mhm.
school. So maybe about 7, 8, somewhere in there. Yeah.
So before that, have you ever had beef? Or was it
Yeah.
all wild game?
Maybe I did, but like I said, I ate what was given to me.
Yeah.
Especially if it was fried and made by my grandma. Eat it anytime.
Did she have a garden too? Did you guys have a lot of veggies?
They had a garden, and I think we had a barn too, but I don't really remember. But
Mm.
my sister and them used to sit over there, and she sings and all that. They said, me, I think I stuck around my grandparents more, But they used to corn. I remember she used to make a lot of dried corn, potatoes mainly, potatoes and maybe carrots, and that's about all I can remember. I think because we always ate meat and potatoes all the time. And then if we didn't have butter, see, they melt the fat. We don't have butter, and we want to eat like cornmeal and bread and butter. It seemed like I grew up eating hot breakfast all the time.
Hot breakfast?
Yeah, like oatmeal,
Mm.
mainly oatmeal, cornmeal. There's another stuff too we used to eat, but I can't remember. But we eat those, and then we want butter. We don't have it. We use that fat. But I like it when we use that fat. I always put a little bit of salt on there. Eat it like that with my hot cereal.
Is that why she dried the corn then? Was for the cornmeal?
Yeah.
To make that homemade? Did she dry other stuff too? You said you guys.
Yeah, she dried choke cherries and plums, buffalo berries. I know sometimes she'll make jam, That was mainly for the winter months, that at least we'll have something sweet to eat. Whenever I want bojapi, just my grandma would have, all that stuff dried up and in a gunny sack, and she'll have it in a little house in there. When we don't have it, me and my dad go alongside the creek. And remember those little rose hips? He picks a lot of those, maybe a gallon of it. We just walk all over, take it home, and then my mom makes bojapi out of that.
Really? I haven't heard of people making ojapi out of rose hips before.
It really tastes good.
I bet.
Yeah.
Those are really good for you too.
Yeah.
Is it heart or blood pressure something?
You know what? A lot of people don't like to eat antelope. But
Oh,
I
okay.
like antelope because they eat a lot of sage, and sage is good for you.
Yep. They season themselves.
So, like the only person that always killed antelope for me, just about every year, he already passed away from COVID. Yeah, so I said, no, there's no one there. I always try to at least have my son go get sage for me, and I make tea out of it.
Okay. Do you just take like the leaves, or do you put the whole stem in there?
And then I put, remember those little berries from the cedar?
What do you
those? Call those?
They're not junipers. They look like blueberries, but they're bitter.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
So I put a little bit of those in there, and then a little bit of chaka for, good taste. But that's all I drink too. This sage, chaka, bear root, sinkpetrate, meat, food, and there's another one. Oh, I can't remember that name. Anyway, I make it into a little powder, like, I have a little grinder, so I just put it in a bowl and do a little bit of this and that, and just boil it and drink that. I don't even use sugar. A long time ago, we never used sugar for any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody's healthy, way of cooking. But me, I grew up that way, so I always make sure I get a whole chicken. I cook it with the bone in it and everything. And I put rice in there. That's about it. I like my food like that.
So do you cut up your chicken before you put it in the water? Or do you just boil like the whole body?
I cut it up.
You cut it up?
Yeah, I cut it up, and a long time ago, I didn't even, I used to like the skin, but I don't like it, so I would just peel that off and just cook the meat.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it.
And then just throw rice in after.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I was told there's a name for that. Or maybe I'm thinking of a different kind of soup. I must be thinking of something else. I talked to Mr. Red Bear today. I did an interview with him, Manuel.
Yeah.
So I'm like kind of mixing up stories here. So I'm trying to stay focused. He doesn't like beaver tail either. Did you end up like teaching your kids then how to cook? And do they help make wasna and your papa?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They always sit there and watch me here. Grandma, don't do it like that. You might cut yourself. I said, no, I'm okay. I've been doing this. But you have to be careful. When you start doing this, I said, you have to be careful. No, you have to hold the meat and you have to, kind of think about it, as you're cutting it. Sometimes it'll get thick. You get a thick part and you have to go again, Gee, my mom was really good at it. With a little tiny piece of meat like this, you can make it maybe 2 feet long.
Oh my gosh. Just from going just around it and around it?
She just goes and goes and goes as she goes. And I couldn't believe it, how fast she was. And my son says, you're almost getting to be like Grandma. I said, well, I'm trying. I said, but my mom's been doing that. And when I got married, and I was married twice. My first marriage was from a guy from Bridger. And the grandma there, she's really traditional. She taught me how to clean the hides off of deer. She never throws the deer hides away. Soon as they skin them, she salts it and rolls it up, puts it away.
How long does it sit? Salt?
It's like maybe 2-3 days, and she, what he calls it, stretches it out, on a board or something, and nails it, stretch, and then she
scrapes the hair.
Scrapes the fat or whatever's on that skin, and then after she's done, she soaks it in water. That takes like maybe almost 5 days.
Oh wow!
Well, she's every day she peels the hair off, then she changes water, then she puts it back in. But she did all that, and then she taught me how to do quill work, but I don't like it because you have to put that quill in your mouth.
Oh, okay.
Because it's your spit that does something to the inside of the quill. So when you pull it out, you have to bite on it and squeeze that stuff out and it stays flat.
So that's how you get like the earrings and stuff? Ooh, okay. I didn't know that.
And, some people, they soak it in water, but they said don't really soak it. I mean, it doesn't soak that stuff inside the quill. She's pretty good at it, but because they had her do a pipe, she had to, all the way up to the top, long one, where you sit and smoke it. But the stem, somebody already has it, but they told her to make the
it goes inside the pipe, right? Okay, yeah.
And
like the funnel
she
or
just,
something.
I don't know how she does it, but she has a loom-like thing like this, and then she just wraps the quill on there, and it's kind of crossover like this.
Okay.
And I don't know how she connects it, because all the quills she had here, they're all on there.
Yeah.
And they're different colors too.
Does she dye them then? Does she dye them in like berries instead of regular dye?
Some she used cooked cherries, and she tried blueberries, but it wasn't really a good color.
Yeah.
So then she got a little modern too, and she used that Ritz. And then she taught me, we went across the creek where they live. We had to go on the highway towards Phillip, and then there's a little road that goes on the other side of the creek. So we went on the other side of the creek, there was a road, so we went way deep in there, and she had a little hatchet, and I was wondering what she was going to do in here. She said, this is where you can get this tea. She said, and here's some kind of a tree, a big tree. She hid it up there and right here, and she scraped it down. Then the next scrape was a real thin piece of that
inner bark.
Inner part. And then she took that one off and she folded it and then she tied it. I think she got maybe she had to move to other places, I think we got like 24 of those little square pieces. They're thick.
Yeah.
So then she said, when I get home, we'll drink some. She said, when we got back, she boiled it. It was really a pretty red.
Was it cottonwood?
I think so.
Because those are pretty everywhere. And those
Yeah.
are really the big ones
Mhm.
usually. Yeah.
So that's where I learned it, but I don't know. But we, things like that, I don't really put sugar in it.
Yeah.
I'd rather drink it natural, But that's what she taught me, and she taught me how to bead with sinew,
Oh, yeah.
from cow or buffalo or deer. So I liked it.
What is the word for moccasins?
The shoe,
Yeah.
hampa,
Hump. What am I thinking of then?
hampa. Wakshupi is you bead, you're beading.
Okay.
Wakshupi, yeah.
Did you make moccasins with your sinew
Yeah.
string? Yeah.
I made, I don't know, a lot of pairs. That Sullivan White Wolf, he was going down south for Sundance, and he wanted a pair. I lived here over that way where the apartments are. He brought over the beads and everything, his footprint. I sat down. It took me a week. Yeah, and I had to use that awl, to make a hole, and just sat there and just did it. And I guess they lasted a long time, but he passed away, so I put it on him, and he's laying with them on.
Oh, wow. What an honor.
Yeah, but I learned a lot.
Did you do like baba soup too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up on.
Yeah.
Mainly. Yeah. Or either rabbit soup.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. The squirrel meat and the cottontail. My mom, either roast the rabbit or fry, and we eat it with potatoes and gravy. And then the jackrabbit, she'll boil it and she'll put bacon in there. And then when it's almost done, she makes that soup kind of white looking. She put a little bit of flour in there.
Oh, yep.
And oven bread or whatever. That's all we ate, because we can't buy, a loaf of bread in town.
Yeah.
Or either she'll make buns, and then those yeast rolls and
the kabubu bread. It seems like that's like really common.
Yeah.
Like everybody that was their sliced bread.
Yeah,
now, how did you make it?
The bread?
Yeah. How did you make your skillet bread?
It's just like flour and baking powder, milk.
Oh, okay.
The powdered milk. We don't have lard. We use the fat that's already melted. That's kept away, underneath the for, if we run out of fat, we end up using those,
That's smart to do that too.
So we'll take that out and melt it, and then put a little bit in there, and then water. You mix it to where, you don't make it really hard, just kind of soft. And then the way I like to make it is, kind of stick your hand in there and go like that, and then make a little ball, and then just pat it down. Boo-boo bread, I just pinch some of it off, make it round, and put it in a skillet. And then that too, we don't put too much grease in there, because that it has to be like not greasy.
Yeah.
But it's always like a dry outside anyway. But it tastes good because it kind of tastes like it's burnt, but it's not burnt. It's brown,
Yeah.
So that's how they always make it.
So you put it in this. You rounded it, and then you put it in the skillet. And did you put like a few of the different patties that you put together?
I cook that separate. Like I have a cast iron skillet that's for the kabubu bread, and then the oven bread. Those little patties, I put it in the oven.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I cook it like that. It's just like biscuits,
So you just made two different versions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So whenever you did the kabubu bread, and you put it in the skillet, do you have to? Because I've heard of people having to like poke holes in it,
No,
right? No?
I don't.
So then do you just put it in the oven and just wait for it to rise, or how do you know when it's done?
No, I just cook it on the stove.
Okay.
And then, you just gotta make sure, how the time you put on there. And I just grab the skillet and move it around if it's not, and then I grab it like this, I flip it over, and then put this down and put it back in the skillet.
I kind of want to try that. I might try that tonight.
Yeah.
How much? I'll have to figure out the measurements, but
once I knew how to make that bread, it's there, and even my fry bread, I can use like half of a 5-pound flour, and I use 2 yeast with maybe about half of that.
Okay. So
Hmm.
that'd probably be like half of a coffee mug, I
Yeah,
guess.
that, and I let it, sit there, and then I put like a 1/4 cup of sugar in there,
Mhm.
and then it kind of bubbles up, and then you put your oil in there, maybe a couple of tablespoons, put it in there, or even 1 tablespoon, and then you stir it up. When those bubbles are there, you start doing that, and then just take a pinch of salt, throw it in there. I usually put 1 egg in there, but if it's going to be a larger, fry bread, yeah, yeast bread, I put 2 eggs, and then you just scramble it, put it in there, and then mix it, and then you start putting your flour in there. Yeah. And what I like doing is I put my flour on the table, and I just knead it on there.
Yep.
And then the way I know how it's supposed to be, I poke it, poke it, and then if it doesn't stick, and if it's the way it kind of like bounces back, like
Mhm.
that's ready now. So you put it up and kind of put oil in your bowl and cover it up. It has to double that size, she said. Because yesterday I made 2 batches of fry bread.
Man, I'm really catching you on a busy week, aren't I? Thank you for coming whenever
Mhm.
you're preparing meals
Yeah,
for
so
500
when
people.
I get home, I have to make my wasna for tomorrow. I'm going to prepare it this evening because I want to be there when they bring him in. That motorcycle, they ran into him, and that's going to come first on a flatbed, and then the motorcycle riders. And then halfway's there, wagon's going to come with a riderless horse. Nobody riding a horse, but it's going to come. Then the horse riders, then the people that they're going to take him to Takini school.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess he really likes my wasna. Tell her to make some more. I guess he said that last time. But he's whenever he goes somewhere, I see him. Yeah, I've been to Hawaii, and I travel a lot. But I really enjoy doing stuff for people. It
Mhm.
comes from my heart. And whenever I go, I'm probably really special to my grandma because chokecherry patties. I know she'll be grinding them, and all that juice comes out. She puts it in a big old pail there, and then it drips in there. And she has a big, maybe from there to where you're sitting, a screen-like thing. When all that juice comes out, she kind of squishes it down a little bit, and she puts all her patties on it and dries it like that. As soon as she puts it up there, I go and take whole bunch and go hide and eat them.
And then did she use the juice for
Yeah.
leftover stuff too?
Like what we do is she'll make wasabi or homemade syrup. Yeah.
Do you make chokecherry patties too?
Yeah.
Do you have any bushes down in Redcapel?
Down the creek, there's some down there, so we always go down there.
Is there any other recipes that you want to share before we end our time?
But the one thing I really like eating was olives.
Oh,
A
yeah.
jar of olives. That's all I used to buy whenever we went to town. Tripe soup. The way I like it is, I don't mind it when it's boiled, but I like things crispy and it tastes good. So I always have my mom, show me how to bread it and stuff, and she did, and it tastes good like that.
Just bread it with flour?
Yeah. And you can just about eat it like fried chicken, Tastes good. I like it like that.
Does it taste different being it fried
Yeah.
versus if you had it in like a stew?
Yeah. So I learned a lot.